Yay! Hello. Going live here again on Instagram and YouTube. This actually worked out okay last time, so I'm trying to see how I want that. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I have taken a couple weeks off of being online, which was really nice to celebrate Christmas and all of the things. Um, and today I thought it would be fun to share my, excuse me, my main bullet journal. Oh my goodness, this would happen right at the beginning. My main bullet journal and my reading journal, just for inspiration purposes. And I'm going to be sharing my goals that are in my bullet journal. And I'm also going to be sharing what supplies that I love to use with my bullet journal, just because I figured it would be helpful to see what I use. Before we jump in, I just wanted to share a little bit about like why I got started journaling in this way and when I journal, because I think that's a huge part of like how do I even fit this in if this is something I want to do as potentially a busy mom, homeschooling mom, because I'm very busy and but I fit it in. Sorry, I'm trying to be able to see everything. Yeah. Oh, yes. Behind me, I've got Christmas. I've got my baby turning 1 this upcoming weekend, which is insanity. I have no idea how that happened. This has been like the fastest year of my life. Can't believe he's almost 1. I got my I Smell Snow Gilmore Girls sweatshirt on. Got some coffee here so we can just have like a fun little chat. And this is something I want to do most weeks. Sometimes talking about homeschooling, sometimes talking about motherhood, organization hacks, all the things. But with the new year happening in like a day, I thought it'd be fun to talk about goals and how I have my bullet journal and reading journal set up. Okay, so why do I journal? I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about this, but and maybe I'll just quick show you guys just so you see what I'm talking about. Like this is my bullet journal. I don't do my main planning in here. This is more for memory keeping. I do track habits and gratitude and prayers and things like that in here. But overall, this is like a memory keeping journal. And then my reading journal is just like for tracking purposes and fun purposes. So why do I even do this? And when did I start? So I actually started bullet journaling when it became really popular. I think boho berry, is that a thing? Boho something. Maybe you guys know what I'm talking about. It became popular like 10 years ago. My oldest was really little, so it was like 9-ish years ago. And I got into it. I started planning in a bullet journal, and then life became more chaotic, more children and businesses and things like that, daycare and all of the things, and now homeschooling. And it just became too much to set up every single month to have to do all of my planning in there. So I stopped doing that, moved to different planners, which I'm in my Filofax now, which I shared a few weeks ago if you want to go back and watch that live. But almost 3 years ago now, my dad was in a really bad accident. Some of you may have been following me then. He fell off a roof, was in the hospital for 4 months, which is miraculous that he got out that fast. He's, now living with a very bad traumatic brain injury, but by the grace of God is functioning, driving, living overall a very normal life. Obviously is very affected by it. Still, but for how bad it was, it's truly like a miracle that he's as good as he is now. But at that time, it was incredibly hard on our family. It was a very dark time for a while there, and I was going to the hospital all the time. My mom was there every day as long as she could possibly be, so I was trying to be there to support her, trying to be there to advocate for my dad, because that's a whole can of worms of care in those situations. And so I was really worn out, burnt out truly of life. And I was still a mom to 3 kids, homeschooling, watching kids before and after school at the time. And it was just a very crazy time. And I really needed some kind of outlet to process, because the hospital visits were extremely sad. We didn't know he'd end up coming home and recovering as well as he did. And there was, if you deal with somebody with a traumatic brain injury, oftentimes there's hallucinations, there's erratic behavior. They don't act the way they normally would, and just processing the grief of losing somebody you love, but they're still here, and all of that. It was just so much. And so I started journaling in a bullet journal fashion at that time. And it was so healing for me and very therapeutic to have an outlet to be creative, to journal all my feelings, to put pictures of what we were going through, and to document. Even though it was such a hard time, I wanted to make sure I documented it because, 4 months doesn't sound like that much, but when you're going through something that like traumatic, every single day is like a new stressor, something bad happened, new news, you're up, then you're down, and so many things happen. So having a way to document it all so I could remember it was very helpful. And so I started bullet journaling then, and I did it for about like maybe a year and a half. And I started planning in there. And then once again, it became overwhelming. And so I stopped. And then this summer, I was like, I really miss doing that. But I don't want to make it my planner. So that's where I've been now. Since late August, I've been journaling again in this way. And how do I fit it in? Which is a great question. You may be wondering, as somebody who's very busy, which I'm sure everybody watching is busy. I like to do my journaling, like setting it up and that kind of thing. I do either on the weekends after my kids have gone to bed at night. I'll try to like watch a show or listen to an audiobook, and I will journal then, because normally if I try to watch a show on the couch, I'll fall asleep anyway. So it's just a nice way to keep me up, and it's like my me time. Or on the weekends, like in the afternoon, if we're home, I will sometimes work on it, but it's not like every single night or every single weekend. It's when I can fit it in. So it's very flexible. And then, at the end of the month, that's when I go in and fill in some stuff like photos, print them out and put them in. So it's, you can do as much or as little as you want. And this is just what works for me. But I love having these to look back on my kids growing up. When I was growing up, moms would scrapbook, which this is very much like a scrapbook, just like a loose form of a scrapbook that I'm doing. So it's my hobby. Some people find time to knit or crochet or sew or woodwork or whatever, or into sports or something. I love to journal and plan. Those are like my hobbies. Okay. And if you guys have questions, I'll try. I have a hard time. I have my computer here and I've got my phone here, so I can be live in 2 different places, but I'll try to look at questions at the end if you guys are interested. So let's start with my bullet journal. I'm going to walk you through my setup for 2026 and then also my goals. So I think it's a B5 size. I just got this on Amazon. If you comment links on Instagram, it should send you the link to my Amazon planner supplies shop thing, where it has links to like everything I could possibly think of that I'm going to talk about today. YouTube, it should be in the description. Hopefully that'll all work. So if you want this on Instagram, text or comment links. If you want links on YouTube, it should be in the description. Okay. So this is the same journal that I've been using since September or like late August, because I had all these pages left. I didn't want to start a whole new notebook, and I did the math, and this should last me through this whole year. So it'll be like a little less than a year and a half in this one journal. But as you can see, I always do a cover page. I'll just kind of walk you guys through how I set these up. With the month, sometimes I'll add like a currently, looking forward, looking back, like I'll add some fun spreads. Sorry, hopefully that's sometimes I'll do a photo a day. So I'll print out a photo from every day. I do that at the end of the month. And then like when my kids have a birthday that month, I will do a 2-page spread about them. And then I put business stats in here. I'm not going to show you with like how many stories I posted, things about Instagram, where I was at with followers, where I am now. Best posts that I loved. And then I have stuff about sales and things like that. And I have prayers spread. So like I have October. And then what I also do is, On the sides, I don't know if you guys can see that. So I cut out tabs and then I cover them with washi tape in a way that fits with the theme. And that way I can easily turn the pages. And when I'm looking at the side, I know where my months start and end, which is just kind of fun. Here's an example of a memories spread. So at the end of the month, I will print out photos and then glue them in or use my tape runner, and then I'll write about them so that I can look back on my life. It's just really pretty. I do two two-page spreads of that. I have habit tracker and gratitude every month. And then, like I said, business stats, life stats. I'm not going to show those. And then prayers. Okay, so let's jump to this year and how I have it set up. So this is my cover for 2026. So I just did that right in here. And I made a vision board, which I thought was kind of fun. And then over here, I just it's supposed to look like tea or coffee stain vintage paper. I put 2026 and then word of the year. I picked the word flourish because I feel like I've planted a ton of seeds in my life, in my motherhood, and in our marriage, and in our homeschool, and in my business, and friendships, and things like that. Like I have a lot of seeds growing and sprouting, but I really want to like nurture them and grow them deeper, if that makes sense. So lots of areas of my life that I want to like strengthen and I want them to flourish. So that's the word I chose. And I'm honestly really proud with my hand lettering in this because it's come a long way. It's still horrible when I don't take my time, but I thought that was really pretty. And then I put this little, it's a thank you card, but I just covered it with this little like piece of paper. And I'm going to write a little note to myself probably tomorrow on the last day of the year. And then I can open it at the start of 2027 or the end of 2026. And then my vision board is just photos of parts of my life that I want to focus on: friendship, being intentional with my kids, focusing on joy, reading, family dinners, and being intentional with that, faith, reading the Bible consistently and even more than I already have been, homeschool, my business, my family, friendships, all of that kind of stuff. I want to have flourish. Is that even, it sounds weird when you say it so many times. Okay. So I'm going to keep going through this, but right now I'm going to segue into my goals because I have a 2-page, or it's actually four pages of my goals. I decided to do this in a 26 and 2026 format. If you guys have seen people do that every year, like 20 and 2020, 21 and 2021, and that kind of thing. So you're setting like as many goals on a smaller scale, like micro goals for some of them, because 26 is a lot of goals. But like 26 things that you want to do or accomplish or track for that year. I have some covered just because they're personal and about like marriage or business or, things that I don't really want to share with the whole internet. So here I have lose 30 pounds. So I have a place to track when I lose a pound. Date my husband weekly. I would like to not go out of the house. That's not a possibility to do every single week, but every week after the kids go to bed, we want to like play a game or do something intentional for our marriage so we can track that. Read over 50 books is my goal for this year. I've been doing a lot of audiobooks, so it's made it a lot easier. Grow my business. I have a place to track that. I have like a metric that I'm tracking, but grow my business. Monthly date with my kids. I have shared a lot in the past about what's it called? Family board meetings. If you guys, that's a really good book to read about dating your kids. And being intentional one-on-one with your kids. And with 4 kids, like that's not always easy, but it's very beneficial when we do make time for it. So I did the math. My little guy, he's not really old enough for it to make a difference yet. But if I date each of my daughters once a month, that'll be 4 dates a year, right? 3 times 4 is 12. Yeah. So they'll each get 4 dates a year. And then next year, when our little guy is bigger, if we date each of our 4 kids once a month, they'll get 3 dates a year. So it's, when I look at it that way, like just doing one and fitting it in the month, it's really not that hard. We just leave the house, like we'll go to a park or we'll go do something fun or go to a coffee shop, bring some games, go out to wherever they want to go out to eat, and just really have intentional time with them. So I have a place to write down who I went on a date with, go on 15 hikes. Sometimes I'm not great about going with our like nature group. I want to be better about that now that I'm not with a newborn and not like super postpartum or pregnant. But we like to go on some as families, or especially in the summer, like I'll just take the kids on my own and do that. Go to at least 2 plays. Have a monthly date out of the house with my husband. So trying to get out of the house for a date once a month, and I can write what we did for each month. Give to 3 or more people or causes like outside of the church. So I am not the best about remembering like when somebody has a GoFundMe and I donated to that. I'm not the best about like tracking that in a way that I'll remember it, other than like taxes. So it would be fun to have a place to be intentional and to record that. Wean my baby. I would like him weaned by the time he's 2 for sure, if possible. So I'm gonna write the month that we officially stopped and how it went. This is really meaningful to me because with my 3rd daughter, who I thought was my last child, I didn't really get a say in finishing nursing her because I had a blood clot from COVID. And so the meds they put me on, I could not nurse her. So I didn't know when my last time was, and I thought she was my last baby. So that's always something really sad for me. And now having another chance to nurse a baby has been really beautiful. And so I'm grateful that I am able to, hopefully, if all goes well, be able to like record that and I'll know when it's my last time. Create at least 4 new resources for my business. Have a monthly date with friends. I've been trying to do that a lot more, like intentional with some of my friendships, to go out to dinner or go to get coffee or just sit and hang out with each other. And so I want to keep track of that. I want to make sure I do 12 months in my bullet journal. And so I put a place to put the themes for each month that I themed it as. Having monthly budget meetings with my husband. I want to track that. Something I really want to do this year is to read books with my husband, not like actually reading them together, because we've tried that and we like both get really tired trying to do that at the end of the day. But if we're both reading a book at the same time, like maybe 1 chapter a week or 1 chapter every other week of a book, and then we'll sit down, maybe that'll be our date for the week, is to talk about it. Because there's so many books that I think are good for us both to read, and he agrees. And so I think that could be a great thing. So I put Start Marriage Book Club, and then I put a place to keep track of the books that we read. And then on the second page, it looks like this. So go on a family vacation, where, when, what, go live 35 plus times. So maybe you guys can hold me accountable for that. Walking pad. I kind of got off using that because our office was a disaster with Christmas time and everything, because we wrap presents down there. So I want to walk on my walking pad at least 150 times, do at least 150 workouts. So about 3 a week. And then this is like something that I want to share more about this year, but I'm not ready to share about it yet. So yeah, so that's all the things that I want to share about my goals. I would love to know if you guys have any family related goals, marriage related goals, any similar goals or very different goals than what I have. And that's how I have them in my journal. I literally just added some pretty stuff, scrap of paper and stickers, and then just wrote them out. And so I'll go in once a month, and I go in every day. So I'll probably go in every day and just see, did I finish a book? Did I go on a hike? Did I go live that week, to check those off, or in my workouts? But then as far as some of them, I'll just do that on a monthly basis. And then my next spread is my year in pixels. So if you're not a bullet journal type person, you probably don't know what this is, but if you are, you probably do. So I cut the page, this middle page, I cut the top off so that I can use the header for 2 different spreads, or I guess 4 different spreads. And so this is something I'm going to track every single day for a whole year. So there's enough boxes on here to last for a whole year. And so there's January through December. Each column is a month. And then I'll go in, I have different colors that I have set aside, and I will fill in things based on that. So I have my mood. Was I content, happy, sad, energetic, tired, anxious, or angry? I just think it's kind of fun to look at. So every day I'll go in and fill that out. And then at the end of the year, like I can see how I trended, I guess. And hopefully it'll be more like happy or content or energetic and less of the more negative ones. But that's just life. My cycle, tracking my cycle. I'm really bad at paying attention to my body. I just don't even notice things sometimes. And so this will help me be more focused on like, was there bloating? Did I have cramps? Was I extra emotional at any time? So maybe I can kind of prepare for that. I don't know. Workouts, what kind of workout I did, strength, cardio, walk, jog, dance, other. Walking pad, did I do 30 minutes, 60 minutes, or 90 or more minutes? And then did I have 10K steps? So did I have less than 10K, 10 to 15K, or 15K or more? How many sales I did for my business. So 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4 or more. And then because weight loss is a big thing for me this year, I have weigh-ins. I'm going to try to do that on a monthly basis. I don't want to be doing it all the time because it just get really negative then. And then non-scale victories. If I had like go down a pant size or worked out consistently for a month or whatever it may be, hit 20K steps one day or something. I don't know. I can write that there. And then every month I'm going to do my measurements as well. So I have a spot for that. So that's my year in pixels. And that, I believe, yes, that's everything I set up for the year. So I don't have a ton of like yearly spreads because I'm trying to be realistic and make it so that I can actually stick with all of this. So if I had like 20 things that I had to keep track of all the time, different spreads, I would get overwhelmed. Plus setting them up takes me some time. So then I just thought I'd take you guys through my January setup. So this is my spread. I'm doing a blue winter theme, kind of vintage. And I have this Anne of Green Gables quote I will read to you. I wish I had beautiful, like old fashioned, beautiful calligraphy cursive, like in here, but I don't at this point. So it says, the world looks like something God had just imagined for his own pleasure, doesn't it? Those trees look as if I could blow them away with a breath. Poof. I'm so glad I live in a world where there are white frosts. Aren't you? Very similar to her. I'm so glad I live in a world where there are Octobers, which was my October quote. I love Anne, so I always love doing a nod to her. Then I have this bingo. So I've been doing this as like our seasonal bucket list. I had one for the fall, I had one for Christmas, and now I have one for winter. Maybe it's helpful for me to read it to you guys so you have ideas, because it's hard to think of ideas that aren't holiday related. Like after the holidays are over, we're just getting started with winter here in Minnesota. So having some things to look forward to. I can reference this when like we have a night as a family and I'm like, I cannot stand being stuck inside when it's so dark every single night. What could we do? And then I can look at this. So I have go sledding, make cookies, try a new restaurant, declutter and donate, do a snowball fight, learn to make lattes, do a puzzle, drink hot chocolate, a spa night with my girls, my daughters, go on a winter hike, have a family game night, go to a winter festival, make a roast, go to Great Wolf Lodge. That's something we have planned. So I'd like to also include things that I know we're going to do. Have a disco dance party, have a cozy PJ day, write to pen pals, make a snowman, have a dinner with a friend, go to a Nickelodeon universe at the Mall of America, which is something else we have planned. Make an igloo. Actually, my kids just did that yesterday, so I probably could check that off. Make paper snowflakes, lose 10 pounds over the winter, because winter lasts till like June, not usually, but you know what I mean. And make Valentines. So we can check those off as we do them. And then I have this currently spread, which at the end of January I'll fill out. So I just write something I'm loving, eating, thinking, going, where I'm going or where I went, making, reading, hearing, buying, celebrating, seeing, doing, and wearing. They're just kind of fun when you look back on how much your life has changed from month to month. I left this blank. This is going to be for our little Sullivan. His birthday is this weekend, so I can write all about him and put pictures and cry. And then this is what my memory spreads look like at the start of the month. They're just like I added some scrapbook paper and stickers and washi, and I wrote memories. And I have 2 of those so that at the end of the month, I can print out pictures and write about the month. And then my gratitude and habits, I accidentally wrote gratitude here instead of habits. So I just wrote them both on the gratitude or on the habit side. So I'll fill in things I want to track this month, and then I'll check them off as I go. And then this is where I put 2 things I'm grateful for every morning, trying not to repeat anything. I haven't fully finished setting this up, but here's where I'm going to write down specific prayers that I like, people I'm praying for, causes, whatever, that month. And I can even keep track of if there were any answered prayers. And then I like to do a to-do list of some random things I want to make sure I do that month. And I have my planner, but it's fun for this to actually look back on because I don't save my planner pages. I just recycle them because I don't ever look back on them because they're pretty meaningless to me later on. But this is something I do look back on. So if like we do anything big, donate something, sell something, accomplish something that's kind of out of the ordinary, I'll keep track of it so that I have a record I can look back on. And then here's where I will make a spread about my business for the month, like I explained earlier. And then sometimes I'll do like a recap of the month or check in about like different areas of my life, kind of the, what is that called? Like top 10, or I can't think of what it's called, level 10 life or something like that, where there's different areas of your life and you rate it out of 10 and you can write a little bit about it. So I'm just leaving that open-ended right now. And that's my bullet journal. So that's how I keep track of my life and memories and things like that. And now I'm going to talk about my reading journal. So my reading journal is something I started this year because I'm really bad at keeping up with Goodreads, and that's not really fun to like look back on. And so I wanted, I do keep a commonplace journal. I'm not the best at remembering to write in it with like quotes and stuff, which is very like Charlotte Mason, if you're familiar. But I wanted a place to actually write down the books I want to read, the books that I did read that year, and kind of make it a little bit more fun. So this is an A5 size. It's actually the same journal company as this one, but it's smaller, and I really love this brown. So that's the journal I'm using. And so this is my cover page for the whole thing. It just says reading journal. Really cute. And then I have a long-term reading few pages. So something that I'll just keep adding to because this is going to last me a few years. Some people keep a reading journal for like 1 year and fill up all the pages, but I'm not planning to do that because that would be overwhelming to me. So I only have a few spreads that I'll add every year, but that way I can like, this could potentially last me like 10 years, which is really cool. So I wrote down, did I show that long-term reading? And then I have books I own that I haven't read yet. So I went through all of our bookshelves and I wrote down any books that we own, and I wrote them down that I need to read. I didn't write ones that like I know I'm not going to read that I probably should donate, but all the ones I want to read that I haven't read yet. And then if it's a Kindle book, I just put a little dot so that I can look there for it. And I have I have room to add more if I buy more, but I'm trying to not buy unless I know I'm going to read it right away. And then I have lots of audiobooks that I own that I didn't even realize how many there were. I bought a lot this month because they were on sale, but like most of these I already owned. A lot of them are classics that I bought when they were like 25 cents or like $1 over the years, but I haven't actually read yet. So there's that. I wish I would have, looking back, organized this a little bit better by subcategory of like audiobooks that are fiction, audiobooks that are nonfiction, or like theology, parenting, whatever. But I didn't do that. And so maybe in 10 years, if I keep up with this, I will remember to do that. And then I have books I want to read. So I have fiction here. This is not every single book that I want to read, but I went through my Goodreads. I went through Amazon. I went through my phone, like books that I had taken pictures of. I went through my Instagram because I'll save people's posts about books. And so I wrote down all the ones that really caught my interest, and I wrote them here. And then I made sure these were all on Goodreads. So at least I'm starting where they're linked and they're on the same page, no pun intended, but I'm sure I won't keep up with Goodreads because I'm really bad at remembering to do that. But maybe this will help me remember to like update Goodreads because it is kind of nice to have it digitally. And then I left a lot of blank pages so I can add to this for a long time. Then I have nonfiction books I want to read. This I really wish I had subcategorized by type because that's a lot of books. But this is where Goodreads will help because I can visually see them all, which might have been kind of nice looking back to like put pictures of them all, but that's okay. I figure if I'm looking for a book to read, I'll actually look on Goodreads because I made sure these are all on there, but then I can check them off here, which is kind of nice. And it bleeds into the second page. Okay, so those are the only long-term spreads I have. Then I went through and tried to remember all the books I read in 2025. I already realized I'm missing a couple, but I'm including books that I read with my kids, like read alouds. I don't know this year because we're reading so many chapter books as a family and each of my kids because we're doing a lot of Ambleside online reads. I think I will count them because I'm reading them too. So I think I will. I included all the Narnia books that we read last year or this year because I had never read them before. And so I'm proud of that and I'm excited that I've read them now and I included that. So, and then I tracked how many pages I read for physical books, how many hours I listened for audiobooks, and then my star rating for them. Okay, here is my 2026 setup. So here's the cover. So I just really like a vintage kind of whimsical aesthetic for the vibe of this. So this is what I plan to add every year. And that's why it's not going to take up a ton of space. So I have total books I read. And then every month I have a little box here for January, February, March, all the way to December. So every month I'll go in and color them a certain color for the month. And then I'll color in that box. And then I'll pick a new color for the next month. So that way I don't have to I didn't pre-plan it. So I don't have to keep markers aside. I'll just pick a color that month and fill them in. And if I get over 54, maybe I'll cut a page out and washi it in so that I can add books because I didn't really think about that. At the end of the year, I'm going to print out the covers and glue them in these boxes here of my favorites. So I have 16 boxes. So I can pick 16 favorites. And then I have this year at a glance spread. So every month, I will keep track of how many books I read, how many pages, hours, how many were print, how many were audio, how many were ebook, and then my average star rating. So I'll go through and add up all the stars and then divide by how many books I read. And then I put this little reading bingo chart in, which I thought was kind of fun. I'll read what I put on there. I have read a book on parenting, a book by a new to me author, read a biography, read a book I own, read a book that has a movie with it, finish a series, personal development book, read a magazine, read a classic novel, read a how-to book, read outside, read a mystery, read a book that's over 500 pages, read a book on homeschool, read a 15 or more hour audiobook, read a book with a one-word title, reread a book, which I'm actually doing right now, read a book on theology, read at a cafe, read a book set during a holiday, read a business book, read a book by a male author, since I typically often read, especially for fiction, more female authors, read a new release, and read a book written 50 or more years ago. So it's just kind of fun. It gets me reading lots of different types of things. And then my last spread I set up for the year is this bookshelf. So every month, just like I have on the total books, I have little boxes. So I'll color the books and I'll probably randomize them. Let's say I read 5 books in January. I'll do one here, one here, one here, one here, one here. And so the colors are going to be all spread out, but that way I'll know which ones I read each month because they'll all be the same color. And then I'll write the title of the book, on the spine. So really simple, easy to set up. I'm not artistic. I'm not good at drawing. But that's why I use a lot of things that are already pretty and then just put them together. And then at the end of the month, what I'm going to do, I don't know if you guys can see that I wrote in with pencil. So I can fit about 4 books a page. So I'll put a little, I'll print out the cover, and then I have these stickers that I got on Amazon, which are linked in my links. If you guys want them, comment links on Instagram or look in the description on YouTube. So they're just these little star stickers because I'm horrible at drawing stars. I will put that on there, write the title, fill in however many stars I give that book, and then I can write just a little bit about it. Nothing crazy. Like I'm not going to write a whole page about a book, most likely. But I have flexibility because they're just dot blank pages, so I can do that. And then, however many books I read, that'll take up a few pages, and then I'll start the next month and just keep going until I finish this journal. So that is my reading journal. Maybe before sorry guys, I'm trying to see if there's any questions. Oh goodness. Amy said, I think documenting our experiences help us to materialize and have an archive for future experiences. I really agree with that. I think when you actually take time to stop and reflect on your life, it makes your life, it's like kind of like romanticizing your life. You realize how much you do and how much you've grown. And especially like I'm a homeschool mom. I'm not like out traveling the world or doing like these amazing things, but I am like, I'm discipling my children day in, day out. Like there's so much beauty in the everyday. And so taking the time to stop and reflect on it has added a lot of meaning to my life without doing anything different. But I think it's causing me to do more things with my kids and be more intentional because I am documenting it and looking back on it. Let's see. I'll probably go back at the end and just see because I can barely see my phone with the way I have this all set up. But I'm just going to quick run through some of my favorite, some of my favorite supplies. Like I said, I am not good at drawing. It's something I want to work on and get better at. It's just not something that I'm naturally very good at, but I love to decorate and I love to take things that are already pretty and like put them together. So I love journaling because I can take pretty things and put them together, but I'm not like having to draw all of this because I'm just not great at it and I get really frustrated. So this is what I use. And like I said, I've been doing this now off and on for a few years. And so this is not something I went out and bought all of this stuff right away. Most of it I got for birthdays and Christmas. So don't feel like you have to like buy all this to start journaling. A lot of it I just bought after Christmas with some money that I got for Christmas. And so I'll share what I use. So first off, a lot of what I use is scrapbook paper. Sometimes like if I have a theme, sorry guys. If I have a theme coming up for the month and I don't have scrapbook paper that really fits it, I will go to Hobby Lobby and buy just a few sheets of it. Or if it's a theme like this one where I can use this in a lot of different themes, I will buy a pack like on Amazon of scrapbook paper. I also bought a bunch of scrapbook paper at a garage sale. This lady was getting rid of tons and I got it so cheap. So I'll sometimes, especially at Hobby Lobby when they have their 40% off, that's where I just got this after Christmas. Really pretty and it's so many different colors and I really love the whole vintage vibes lately. So I'll use a lot of those. And then I also bought, well, first off, I have done before where I can't smell it. Not that you guys can smell it anyway, but I stained paper with coffee and then I baked it. I think it was coffee. I'm pretty sure I used coffee, like really strong coffee. Baked it at a low temperature and it dried out. You can look up tutorials online, but it was so pretty and it's really fun to rip, like just because of the texture of it. But that takes a lot of time and I don't always have that much time. So I also bought this pack of vintage old looking paper, but it's just printed on there. And I'll have all of the links to as many of these things as I could find links for in the description on YouTube and if you comment links on Instagram. But I'm also going to try to put some links in my stories, perhaps, if I have time. And then, as you probably noticed, I use a lot of stickers in my journal. So here are some of the sticker books I have. I have this antiquarian sticker book, which I haven't used a lot of, but it's just like lots of random, fun, vintage-looking stickers. And I when I have a theme, I will do like I use this for a couple fall themes. So it's just really pretty. It's hard to see because they're all on top of each other and they're clear, but like these pretty stickers that fit the fall. So I'll use these in a lot of my spreads, but then I can keep them and use them from year to year. For my blue winter theme, like I bought these really pretty blue wintry stickers with like landscapes and vintage looking things, which was just really pretty. For Valentine's, I found some red gingham scrapbook paper and I saw this sticker pack and I just thought it'd be fun to do like a retro theme. They have like kind of like these cute girls, but I don't know if I'll put them in, but like lots of red retro furniture and things, buildings and stuff. I just thought would be really fun for Valentine's Day. And then I have a couple of these ephemera books with lots of like florally stickers and vintage stamp looking things and all kinds of stuff. I have a couple of these. And there's paper in them too. So very fun. I think that's most of my sticker. Oh, I have this fun reading time one because I did a coffee and reading theme. So that's really cute. So it's like there's like a green theme and then there's more like bluish and then there's more like orangey brown. So you can use, and then there's more like beigey white reading stickers. So just really cute. And then I have this pack of like vintage scrapbook paper. So they're smaller, but it's all these like, they look like vintage books or science books or catalogs. I don't want to get it out and have them fall, or newspapers. So I use these a lot in like the corners of my pages. I love ripped paper. I just think it looks so pretty. This may be blasphemy. I don't know. Don't cancel me, but I have this. I love Anne of Green Gables, the whole series, and I have this. I want to get an actual like beautiful set of them, but I had this thrifted version floating around my shelves, and I was like, when I was doing my October theme, which was Anne of Green Gables, I'm so glad I live in a world where their October's theme. I was like, how fun would it be to actually have pages from the book? So this is the book I use when I'm gonna add ripped out book pages. So that's an idea. You could thrift a book you love and use that, or a book I wouldn't do a book you hate, but just a book you don't care about destroying, which I still feel kind of bad, but I also love it. I'm using it to like add meaning to my life. So that's the book I use if I'm going to rip out book pages and add them to my journal. Something I bought a lot of recently at Hobby Lobby because they were on sale were these different ephemera packs. I think I'm saying that right. I read that word a lot, but I don't say it. So it's just like little packs of like flowers and stamps and cards and bingo cards and price tags that are like vintage looking. Like this one's all botanical and like nature themed, just really pretty. Plates and little papers with writing and invoices from like the 1800s and stuff like that. So these were super cheap at Hobby Lobby when they're on sale. So I got those. I got this pack on Amazon with just different like little papers that I used a lot in my reading journal and my setup for the new year. I occasionally will use some stamps, which I also usually buy at Hobby Lobby when they're on sale. And then washi tape, I also get in packs. Like I bought some Christmas ones to use on my tabbed pages. But sometimes I'll go in and just buy like pretty washi tape, or these I ask for Christmas or for my birthday a lot, Mother's Day. And then they make these really pretty PET tapes that are like washi, but they're thicker and they're clear. So you can cut them out. Like this one's all coffee themed. So I use these a lot when I had a coffee theme, and I'll show you guys. So I use them. Where is it? So for my New Year theme, like these pretty florals. These are actually on a tape like this, and I just cut them out and they're like a sticker. But there's a whole roll of them. And so if you're doing a theme, like the coffee theme, where you're going to have a lot of that type of thing, you can cut them out. It does repeat on the roll, so I wouldn't buy these for things like I'm never going to use, but I use a lot of florals and stuff in my journals, so I can use a lot of them. What else? This is fun. This is something I use a lot now. So I usually will sit at my dining table. I could set all this up in my office, but I like to be around my husband at night and on the weekends and not like down in the basement where it's dark and I'm all by myself. And so I usually will journal and stuff at the dining table, but I erase a lot. So I'll sketch things out with my pencil and then erase like the whole page after I'm done completing like the writings on it. And so this is actually, I'll turn it on. So it's a little vacuum for eraser marks. And so my girls use this a lot too. And then they're not getting all over the floor. And it works really well. And it wasn't very expensive. So that's really fun. I use a lot of super tip markers. We have a lot of other kinds of markers, but I just ordered a pack of 150 because my kids took these over and kids don't always put the caps on, or they'll like jam the ends and then they won't be nice like to be using in a journal. And so I bought my own set of 150 colors, but the Super Tip by Crayola are great for having lots of different colors to use. And then I use the Micron pens, Pigma Microns. A lot of people use these. They come in different thicknesses. So, and they have a brush pen as well for hand lettering and things like that. And then my other main thing I use, if I'm being honest, I don't use this a lot right now. I need to get back in the habit of it. But when I'm printing out photos at the end of the month to put on like my memory spread or my photo a day or any of those, I will just print them on my regular printer, which I used to have an HP Envy printer that I would use. It's a more inexpensive printer. Now I have the Epson EcoTank, which works really well too and saves me a lot of money on ink. Both have printed out beautifully for what I need it for. And so I'll print on premium presentation matte paper, which I don't think I put in the Amazon storefront. I'll have to do that. But I print on that on the highest setting, and then I'll go into Canva and put all my photos. They're all the right size. And you can see the dimensions on there, and then I'll print them all out. So I'm printing a few sheets of paper, and then I'll cut them out and use a tape runner or glue them into my journal. But if I wanted to print out like something spur of the moment, like for my books, if I want to do it where I print out the cover of a book when I finish reading it, I can use my HP Sprocket printer. It's just this little printer that I can connect to from my phone. If I can get it out, why won't it come out? I don't know. Okay, I'm not going to say I can try to get it, but it's this little guy. And it'll print out photos, but the paper and stuff is not cheap. And it's not as pretty of a print as printing from my printer, but it's great, especially if you're trying to journal every day, like a big spread, and you want to print out pictures for that. It works really well for that. And the last few things I use often are my corner punch, because I cut my papers. Like when I cut, for example, I didn't do it here. Let's see, where did I do it that I can show you guys? For example, like where I cut these tabs on the paper. So I cut out part of the paper so that a tab would be left. And so I used this paper cutter to round the edges of the corner, around the corner of the page. And then I use a tape runner. This is the off-brand Hobby Lobby version, but they have them on Amazon too. You use this, like you would put this on the back of a picture, and it adds tape adhesive to it, and then you can stick it down. That way you're not like folding tape and sticking it down or having to mess with glue. I do glue also in my journal, but this comes in really handy. And then I sometimes will use like a whiteout little, whatever this is called. So they're my main supplies for what I use. Hopefully this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to try to see on Instagram, but I have a hard time seeing this now. I hope this was helpful. If you guys want to journal in any way or keep track of your goals in a fun way, you do not need to set up as many things as I set up. You don't need to do it how I do it. Do it however you want to do it. Make it your own. I just share because it's my hobby and I think it's fun to share. And I got a lot of inspiration and still do out of a lot of YouTube videos and people on Instagram and things like that because um, it's just a fun hobby. Like if you're into knitting, you might look up people on social media who knit to get inspiration. And so I just wanted to add to the inspiration and give back because I have gotten a lot of it myself through other people. So I hope to be back next week. I'm hoping to share a term one review of everything we used for homeschool for term one, which we finished like November, but with the holidays, I just didn't have it in me to talk about that. So that'll be hopefully next week, and I'll keep you posted, especially on Instagram if you're over on Instagram, so that you can stay notified. But I plan to save both of these. So anybody who had to jump out or didn't catch the beginning can watch them. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day. Now I need to figure out how to end these. Oh dear.